Hey there, Downsview. Good to have the opportunity to speak with you again today. I was reading Proverbs, the familiar verse in chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, that we're to trust in the Lord with all our heart, we're to lean not on our own understanding, that in all our ways we should acknowledge Him, and He will make our paths straight. So this is the familiar pattern of command and promise, and it's a familiar verse that probably won't catch most of us off guard. What caught me off guard about it is I was listening to it and then listening to a sermon by a man named John Aquachekwa from a church down in the Atlanta area, that John reminded us that we really do tend to overestimate our own strength. And part of the reason that we're called not to rely on it is because we think it's actually worth relying on. That makes a lot of sense. The things that we put our trust in, the things that we put our hope in, the things that we lean on in difficulty are the kind of things that we expect it's going to help us. We expect that we're going to find the result of strength, which is stability, the result of strength, which is courage, the result of strength, which is commitment to hang in there. And so we think that we're stronger than we are. And we show that by relying on our own strength to do things. And especially in the Christian life, the Lord Jesus is really clear to tell us that, listen, you're just not as strong as you think you are. John made the point that in the passion scene, in the end of each of the Gospels, we have this picture of the Lord Jesus about to go to the cross, and He is there with His disciples. And John Aquachekwa says he gives the apostles an opportunity to be weak. And he gives them an opportunity to be weak by showing them his own weakness. He says, I'm deeply distressed, I'm deeply troubled, even to the point of death. Right? He shows himself as someone needy, in need of the grace and the strength that the Father will give him, that he's about to pray for. And he says, listen, I want you to stay here and wait with me and watch and stay awake. Of course, they fall asleep 3 different times, as you know, and eventually Jesus says, all right, essentially, I knew you couldn't do it, but time's up now, and he goes on and continues his pilgrimage to the cross in the place of a sinner like me and like you. And the thing about that is that when you compare that to the passage in the Proverbs that we mentioned, lean not on your own understanding. In fact, he says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. So make sure you don't do this one, because you should do this one. Don't rely on yourself, rely on the Lord. But he says, one with your heart and one with your head. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. Why does he make that distinction? Well, at the very least, he's saying your heart determines, is from the affectional standpoint, where your hope is going to be, what you're really relying upon. It's what your heart does. Your heart's sort of that, as the Bible or the theologians call it, the seat of affections. It's our want-to factory, as Piper puts it. It's the place that generates why and how come and how deeply we feel about things. So he says, I want you to give that to the Lord. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. It's almost so that you'll not rely on your own understanding. Because you see, your understanding is that you can do it. Your understanding is, as John Aquachekwa, again, I just so appreciated this talk, he said that you think that real strength is found in resolve, instead of understanding that real strength is found in surrender. That is, in complete submission to the Lord Jesus. You think you can do this, so you try to do it yourself. That's what you understand. And because your understanding is wrong and mixed up, he has to begin by saying, I want you to commit your way, acknowledge the lordship of, commit yourself and surrender yourself to the Lord. Trust in the Lord with all of your affections so that you'll not rely on your own understanding, or instead of relying on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, who he is, what he what he has done, what he can do, what he promises, right? In all your ways, acknowledge him. And here's the promise, he'll keep your path straight. What is sin? But giving into a crooked pathway, right? That life is not how it should be because I'm not relying on the Lord Jesus who's called me to trust him. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he'll make your path straight. Not that crooked line that you've been taking, not that wandering road out there. He will make your path straight. Isn't that what you want? You're confused. You're discouraged. You're mixed up. Life doesn't make any sense in some ways. And he says, listen, God offers you the opportunity to be weak. To be weak. To see that the strength that we require is not within. It's not from within. Don't look to yourself to have the kind of strength that you require to do what God calls you to do. You can't do it. And the kind of strength that you so desperately want to rely upon to find the joy and the peace and the hope, the relational connectivity, the relational assurance that comes from our relationships. Brothers and sisters, we are to rely upon the source that can give and promises to give us strength. It's actually incredibly liberating when you go, okay, so I'm not as strong as I think I am. I'm not as strong as I thought I was. Now what? Now you submit and give yourself over. You surrender to me. It's not your own resolve that's going to draw out that strength. It's going to flow from the throne of God above when you submit and give yourself in surrender to him. Commit your way to the Lord. It will be healing to your bodies, the text goes on, and refreshment to your bones.